We couldn't find Jojo Pune the Bald Eagle, but we found a lovely picture of him here to send some energy from me to EG, obviously from North America. I'm hoping they can pull this one off here, go into that tiebreaker for first place with Fnatic. But a lot of people I know, Dagda, are cheering for that three-way, 3-2 tiebreaker and for DFM to pull it off here.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like, as the desk alluded to, history for DFM when it comes to the North American region. Last year, beating Cloud9, making it to the group stage for the first time ever at Worlds. And now they're looking to throw this group into chaos to see if they can beat EG once more.
Alrighty, let's do this. Let's hop on in. We've got Akali and Silas banned out by DFM. Remember, Akali versus Silas has been the matchup plenty of times, right? We've seen these champions go head-to-head more often than not, and they're going to ban both parts of that away. Meanwhile, EG are banning out the opposite kind of mid laners, Azir and Talia, off the table.
I mean, this is literally everything that Jojo Pune has played now thus far at Worlds taken off the board. Azir, the Akali, the Silas. So we're going to have to see Jojo Pune starting to tick in over to something a little bit different. But Aatrox left up and available. Graves is the same as well. But we've kind of seen Steel has been more of a facilitator, like things like the Trundle, the Poppy, the Hecarim. That's what I kind of expect.
All right. They're hovering over a couple of different things. I would not expect a blind Urgot for any reason. So the Maokai locked in first. The Aatrox is left up. The Graves is left up. There's a lot of power picks still on the table here.
Yeah, I'd like to see Impact take the Aatrox here. I actually think Impact has struggled a little bit in those counter matchups, like we saw in playoffs and trying to bring the Fiora out. Didn't really work out too hot. So I think getting himself onto that strong top lane is going to work out pretty well. And also just not giving that over to Evie, right? Who's been such a strong point of the map for DFM.
And historically, I have so much respect for Impact during big moments. People always talk about like Impact playoff buff, Impact Worlds buff. This guy has been on teams before that have been expected to do better than they did, and he's generally been that like shining silver lining for the teams that he's been on. But it looks like he's still kind of warming up here so far at Worlds 2022, finding that momentum, finding that comfort.
Well, in his own words, right? It was Zoomers take me to Worlds, and now he's hoping that'll take them to groups as well, right? So it was Inspired going to take the Sejuani here. And again, I think this sets up well for Inspired to kind of go against the Maokai if that Maokai is going into the jungle. But like we saw with Fnatic earlier on, the flexibility of this Maokai pick is still there. Won't be going top side, it looks like, though, as Evie going to take his Gnar in towards the top side of the map.
Okay, Gnar into the Aatrox. This is a pretty standard matchup. I know a lot of people always have hopes, like the desk was talking about. Will Evie break out the Urgot? Will Evie take the Lilia? Sometimes they're just going to go with the safer bet, the Gnar. There's so much on the line here for both teams. I can see them wanting to go with something a bit more standard.
Yeah, also the most played for Evie over the course of this split as well. Has looked really, really good on it. Yaharong as well, covering the Ahri here. I think Yaharong has been a little bit of an unsung hero on this team as well. Like, Udapon on picks like the Kai'Sa has been incredibly strong. Like, that has been the 2 wins that DFM have picked up. But when you actually look at the numbers, Yaharong is busting out 34% of the team's damage on average, which is kind of nuts when he's getting even less gold than Udapon is. So big shout out to that guy who has been having a fantastic play.
Yeah, generally if I see somebody sitting at around, like 29, 30% damage share, I'm like, hey, yeah, you had a really good game. 34 is, you're putting in a lot of work there, but Jojo will take the LeBlanc. I like this. He's willing to say, all right, you're going to play an assassin that can roam around. I'm going to do you one better.
Yeah, and old school counters the Ahri as well can do relatively well, where you can toss out the full combo, get the chains, and even when Ahri gets the charm in, you're able to dodge some of the Orb of Deception if you dodge back towards your own distortion. So definitely have the opportunities here for Jojo to make some outplays. It's just a bit unfortunate that you don't have someone that can offer immediate CC to try and follow up on that, because especially post 6, Yaharong should be relatively safe in this lane. Inspired can't really help out too much in trying to get involved in that.
Especially if you've got really good reaction time. Sejuani's ulti travels so slowly that a good Ahri will be able to react to that and get away unless he's already point blank. So let's see right now. We've got a lot of focus on engaged supports in the second half of the bans. It's EG removing the Amumu, a response from DFM to take Alistar off of the table. Rel removed by EG, 3 out of 3 bans in the second phase, engaged supports.
This is where I start to get a bit curious as to what exactly both AD carries want to try and go for. I think something like an Aphelios could work really well for Udapon here. I think just having him as that kind of late game insurance like we've seen with the Kais is going to work perfect. You have a reasonably strong team fight setup as well with the Maokai and the Nar, so probably going to be the directions that they go. Maybe something like a Leona or Nautilus as well for Harp in that bot lane to just try and set him up for success. But Gary has the opportunity to try and steal it away. I just don't think you've got as good of a setup here for an Aphelios, but I mean, can definitely work with the Sejuani there to try and provide that beefy front line.
Yep, we've got the Caitlyn as the final ban there. I like the fact that you mentioned both Leona and Nautilus, because if DFM banned out one of those two, only the other one would be left, so you couldn't handshake on trading some engaged supports if that's the way you wanted to do it. But EG, go for the misfortune there for Cowrie, and it's going to be Sivir Yuumi. Okay, the nightmare returns from 12.15. Sivir and Yuumi both taking nerfs in the time between then and now. Sivir, they're going to try to run this one in. That's a lot of speed for the team fight.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen Yuumi kind of still teetering into the ban phase a little bit, especially when it comes to like the LPL and the LCK teams, but I was surprised to see the Sivir and the Yuumi come back. Still does reasonably well here, right? You've got good healing, both off the spell shield, which can do well against the Misfortune Make It Rain, but this is a counter that we start to see creep up against the Yuumi, and Vulcan going to bring the Soraka out to this one.
Soraka, Soraka, Soraka. This is very important. Let's think back to the LCS Summer Finals weekend in Chicago. Let's think back to that semi-finals match of 100 Thieves versus Evil Geniuses that Evil Geniuses lost in Game 5 to find themselves in the playoffs. It was Huhi's Soraka that ended up being the X factor that won that game for 100 Thieves. Evil Geniuses, it's a lesson learned the hard way. It's a lesson you learn once, and it's a lesson you can put in your own pocket after.
Well, they're going to have to see if it's going to work out. I feel like the Soraka was very good when we had this Enchanter support meta. Right now, look, you're against an Enchanter, but MF isn't exactly someone who's going to provide that super late game damage, right? She's very burst heavy. She want to get that ultimate out, but you don't have great setup for the ultimate with this team. That's why we traditionally see her with things like an Alistar, Leona, Nautilus, these kind of things that enable her in that regard. So although this is going to be a good matchup in the lane, it feels like the Soraka is a little bit of an awkward spot now for the rest of the composition, the way they want to play. So I'll be keeping my eyes on Vulcan to see what he can achieve on this pick.
And I'm actually so interested in how these enchanters are going to play out in this game, especially with the focus on engaged supports from both sides in that second half of the draft. You know what they were expecting. I mean, when we look at champions that have been played so far in the play-ins, Engage absolutely dominates. Amumu 10 picks, Leona 9 picks, Alistar 8 picks, and then you get down and you're looking at enchanters. Where are they? We got Rakan with 2. We got Renata Glass with 2.
Yeah. There's a looks in there for Vulcan, you know? He's got that with the Caitlyn, but yeah, this is where I think it's going to be a bit of an interesting one, and it just feels to me like DFM have just a very easy to execute team fight, right? You have the Sivir scale, you play for that late game damage, so it feels like a huge amount of this for EG is going to be a case of, right, can Inspire and JoJo pop off on top side with impact to carry that across?
And a quick reminder to everybody out there watching right now, you can link your league account with Prime Gaming to receive some free in-game content. And I do believe that things like that usually happen even more when we've got exciting games happening today. We've had a couple of bangers so far. I'm hoping for this one to be a battle. Either way this goes, let's set the stage yet again for people who might now just be joining us, who might have missed it earlier. If EG win, they lock a tie with Fnatic, who they did lose the head-to-head to, so Fnatic would have side selection, but they'd play a tiebreaker for first and that free ticket into the World's Group stage. If DFM wins, well, then now we have a 3-way tie here in Group A, and things are going to get a lot more chaotic, with DFM then still having a possibility to take that coveted second spot and avoid an RNG play-ins battle you would expect.
And if you want that chaos to happen, well, then there needs to be chaos in the mid lane here as well. I feel like looking at Yahurong, he wants Theo to try and help him out so they can lean down into this bottom side, make sure that Udapon and Harp are getting control over this lane. Whereas on the flip side, right, Jojo Pyun gets an early lead, he gets that one-shot potential, he can become an absolute menace in the later portion of the game, and even just getting control over the mid lane gives so much room to Inspired and Jojo Pyun that have been the mid jungle to watch out for, not only in the LCS but here on EG.
All right, some nice trading back and forth here. Enchanter lanes generally mean you're okay just trading health bars as a resource even more than normal because of the fact that you got the heals, because of the fact that the mana bar converts into HP. As Yarong just going to trade with JoJo here a little bit. Gonna pop that LeBlanc passive, get that one out of the way. Both mid laners not afraid to scrap here early either, as the junglers are clearing through the red side quadrants. Both junglers did decide to go for the full clear, taking the Krugs on that first time around, and Inspired will walk into the top side river. If he goes through the brush, Yahorong's gonna see him, but he's coming the long way around.
Really nice pathing here from Sparty. Yahorong has no idea.
But Steel does. Yahorong gonna get ganked here. Are they gonna go even further forward? They get the flash out of the mid laner from DFM.
Great charm from Yahorong there to keep himself topped up. You can see he just pips Jojo Pyun as he comes over the backline of the minions, so avoids a lot of the damage, manages to flash away, and Yahorong will just barely manage to survive. But this is exactly what I wanted to see from EG, playing through this mid lane and trying to get Jojo Pyun an advantage.
Exactly, the Inspired and Jojo combo. When enabled, Jojo can pop off. He can be an incredibly clutch player. In order to even get to Chicago back in summer, he had to have an amazing Game 5 against Team Liquid to keep his team in the running to get them to Worlds in the first place. But Inspired and Vulcan are the playmakers for this team. Vulcan is not on a playmaking champion this game. All eyes are on Inspired.
It's just been a really impressive showing from Jojo Pyun, right? Like, rookie year, goes to MSI, first all-pro team, and now representing LCS at Worlds as well. And even when you talk about how much he learned coming through MSI, right, from Faker, from Xiaohu, and you can actually see the difference that it's made to his gameplay. We're going to have to see if he can try and enact that roaming playstyle he talked about here in trying to help EG get across the finish line. Impact actually having a pretty good time. Was having a good trade there at the top side of the map, but definitely losing out in the CSD apartment at the moment.
But we gotta keep our eyes on everybody from DFM, man. They got some playmakers here. Keep your eyes on Steel and the Maokai. We've seen how powerful this champion can be in multiple different roles. And you already talked about how earlier, Evie is on his most played with the Gnar. This guy can come up clutch when DFM needs him. DFM can drag North America into the chaos again, just like you were talking about last year. This squad has so much heart behind them. They've been to so many international competitions. They're always about just trying to be the best version of what they've got and constantly improving. You mentioned how last year they made it to main stage groups for the first time. Boy, they would love to do it again.
And this is where I need to see them try and pop off from this bottom side if they want to try and do so. Yutapon has been that late game insurance. You look at the kill share, it's been very focused around that AD carry. Even the position that Steel has had on the map has been very focused around this bottom side, and they even look to try and do so once more, at least cover the push that Yutapon has in this bot side, because if this Sivir pops off in late game fights, we know what a menace it can be even with the nerfs.
Exactly, the hyper carry power versus something like Misfortune that's gonna rely more heavily just on the ulti for the AoE control, and they don't have a massive AoE CC ult to really set up for it. They don't have the Maokai, they don't have an Amumu. Jojo, again, controlling the pace of the mid lane though.
There is one combo that I think EG's bot lane has up their sleeve, and it's if you ever disconnect as this Yuumi, you immediately slam down the silence, and you immediately slam that open carry. And if those two hit, like, that's a dead kitty. There is no way that Yuumi's getting out of there. And that's why once we get past 6, it feels like Kaori and Vulcan will have a lot more control over this bottom side of the map, because Harp just has to stay connected because of the power of this Soraka in the lane.
I mean, it's one of the only champions in League of Legends that not only doesn't want to take flash, it doesn't want to buy boots. So, not a whole lot of ways to walk away. Speaking of walking away, Evie's trying to get back away from Impact, who had to pop the World Ender there. Mega Gnar also traded back by Evie there as both these guys hit level 6, ready to commit those ultis, trade all the way down to the very ends of their health bars. Jojo just keeps this minion wave shoved up versus Yahorong, and now that means that they've also got the opportunity to have control over the topside river here.
Yeah, I mean, at the moment, they're not going to be able to do too much with it. Impact is definitely struggling on this top side of the map. Just the poke that's coming through from Evie.
Yep.
Even traditionally, you see the Comet, Arcane Comet taken in this matchup as well, because a lot of what the damage you're trying to do is Aatrox is going to be through poke, but going towards the Conqueror here, Impact wants to play more for the team fights later, making sure he has the heal, the extra damage that comes through as well, but it does mean he's going to struggle substantially when it comes to just being able to trade effectively in the lane.
And I think that goes a little bit back to what you were talking about during the draft, about how Impact hasn't looked great in some of these counter matchups. His laning hasn't been particularly impressive so far at the competition. So if you know that you're not going to be able to get the desired laning outcome no matter what, who cares if it's a bit better because of Comet? He wants to make sure he can show up later.
And that's where Impact has shown up, right? Like, team fighting, his understanding of the ebb and flow of a battle, like where he needs to be positioned, especially for, well, what was Danny, now Kaori in that bot side. Like, there is a huge amount that Impact brings with his veterancy to the team fight, and is going to bring Inspired to this top side, but will be spotted by Evie.
Yep, I like the fact that Inspired walked up when he did. The Narbar was almost charged. They know he's got the ulti ready to go again. It would be a good time for Evie to try to aggressively trade on Impact before his ulti is back up, but Inspired will foil that by showing up at the right time. Meanwhile, bottom lane, Udapon and Harp just continue to run the show down here. They're going to grab their first plate on that turret. They've got a very, very modest CS advantage. Just want to get this wave shoved up, make sure that one's ready to crash. Vulcan's going to see if he can find anything. A little bit late on the silence, so no way to stop that Yuumi recall in time.
Yeah, would have been really nice too, but Yuumi already making her way up towards this Rift Herald. You don't have the usual fighters that we used to see when Yuumi was in the meta. Instead, it's going to be attaching herself to the Maokai, so not as impressive as, say, something like a Xin Zhao, but we'll have to see exactly what DFM are going to be able to achieve here. It looks like even Udapon as well going to start moving up towards this Rift Herald, so I'm expecting an all-out brawl, but level 6 for Kaori, level 6 for Inspired. That's the combo EG are looking to play around.
Yep, and you saw mid lane right there with the last trade between Jojo and Yaharong. That thing that you were talking about, even if you get hit by the charm, you can snap back to your previous distortion point to avoid the Q2 of the Ahri. So Yaharong, lower mana, lower health compared to his mid lane counterpart, but Harp has rotated up. Everybody from both sides is ready for a scrap here in the top side river. It's evil geniuses who have aggroed the Herald, but honestly, they haven't put a whole lot of damage into it. They don't feel compelled to make sure they stay on top of this objective. They'll pass that over to DFM. They're the ones holding the aggro now. Patience is slowly dropping away on this Herald. It's not at a spot where it'll just stay there forever. They're gonna try to keep it here. But now EG are the ones who are tasked with finding an answer. Very nice engage coming out from Yarrow. First blood over to the DFM mid laner, but he dies in response. Now Heavy's gonna be caught. Impact and Inspired looking for the damage. Impact goes in. He won't quite find him. Inspired with a flash away. And Impact takes Heavy out. 2-1 EG.
We may not be done here. EG still want to try and keep this one going. Low health bars, low damage.
Jojo gets jumped on, but a beautiful heal coming out from Vulcan. The Soraka bait is absolutely immaculate, and Kaori needs a little bit more to find another kill. He won't quite find it. Yarong's back. He might be able to pick up the kill on Kaori here. Yeah, it should be nothing stopping him. Just got to get past that blue buff. There it is. 3-2. The fight favors EG, but it's bloody early.
Yarong will get the movement speed to finish off that kill, but in that fight, great patience from EG. Watch the Narbar and Evie. They know that he's already been popped. They're just waiting and out, taking it slow. And Impact again, we talked about him in team fights. Look at the positioning. Great access in towards the back line. Kaori with a brilliant ultimate to zone DFM away from a lot of those threats. And Impact immediately is onto that mini Nar in Evie, zoning Udapon away from the fight. It ends up a little bit greedy, where Kaori thinks he can maybe finish off Udapon, but just not quite able to get the damage across the line.
And here's the big thing. Vulcan died at level 5. He comes back to life with the shared EXP from the kills at level 6. DFM was not expecting to have to play around the wish, and it catches them by surprise. But now, they're back into the river first, and they take the objective.
Steel will manage to nick that one away right from under Impact's nose, but EG now still have push in mid, still can't move over towards this Dragon. Inspired though, not exactly in a position, although he will now start to move over. Maybe they want to try and trade this, because you can still see that Steel is on that top side. So yeah, looks like Dragons will be on the card here for EG. At least they'll get something back for themselves.
Now, Sejuani is not the fastest Dragon Taker in the world. She is not a Graves or a Viego or anything like that. So I would expect them to at least send a little bit of help over there, as Steel will walk up towards the top side. Impact, he's trying to play it safe, but not extremely safe. Fires off the chains there. He's not going to get away from Steel in time. Tries to pop Whirlender, healing up as much as he can there with the increased vamp of the ulti. He will survive. He'll walk away, but he does have to go back to base now.
And that's a bit of the downside there. You can see not a huge amount of damage on that top side. Like, you're just hoping that Evie is enough with the Hyper to try and take down Impact, but not quite there yet. So
nope.
Impact gets to walk away despite having no flash. Steel has invested the ult. Even you can see Harp as well had already moved back down towards this bottom side. And this is what we're kind of talking about with the Yuumi. Traditionally, what we saw with Sivir in this bot side alongside the Yuumi was Sivir, farm up, hit the late game, but you'd have Yuumi attached to some sort of fighter that could use this devastating combo, but we don't have that.
Oh, swing and a miss from EG there. They wanted to try to dive Udapon. Steel was coming in, so they try to just go for the immediate engage, insta-kill on the AD carry. They don't find it. Jojo losing out on some trades against Yaharong here in the mid lane. Fires off his chain, only gets a minion. Jojo is looking worse for wear here in the 1v1. Has to get away as he loses his clone.
We'll just walk it back. Yaharong might try and poke him underneath the tower. We'll at least get a plate because Jojo just can't step up here. So nicely done, but keep your eyes on River, right? A huge amount of DFM members starting to encroach in towards this blue buff. They don't end up trying to go for the invade fully. They're just happy for Yaharong to get a little bit of the turret plates, and now even more with this Rift Herald plunked down.
They want to spike this Ahri. They want to give him all the money they can. Herald's going to get the charge going in there. Kaboom! Takes out those 2 plates. Shouldn't get a whole lot more.
And this is why I say mid lane was so incredibly important for DFM, because you now have 2 kills on Yaharong plus the plates. He's going to get full control of this mid. And now, how do you try and stop Udapon from scaling? Like, he's just clearing waves like it's no tomorrow. You're not really getting the push on top side either because Impact is in that bad matchup. So now there's heavy reliance on EG to make plays happen. Otherwise, they will just end up being outscaled. And at the moment, Inspire just hasn't quite been able to find a way into any of these plays, especially to talk about with Vulcan not really able to assist on the Soraka. It feels like he's trying to make a one-man dream happen.
Yeah, he's going to go up top, see if maybe he can find something here with Impact, but Evi's playing it safe. He knows he doesn't have anybody nearby. Their junglers on the other side of the map. They want to dive bottom. EG going to get dove now as Cowrie just gets deleted. Vulcan was top 3v1, nothing to it. Yaharong trying to get away now as Jojo finds a fast combo on him, but DFM are the ones who come out on top there. They commit more guys to the bottom side while successfully playing back on the other end of the map, and Evi gets not punished.
Evi does have to reset though, because he knew there was 3 members of EG on the top side. TP's back in though, but
Oh, chain 2 connects. Jojo can't go underneath the turret first though. Yaharong survives because they couldn't get the aggro where they needed it.
Yeah, Yaharong basically had to put himself into danger there so he could make sure that Evi wasn't going to be dove after the TP back in topside. So he will give a good chunk of his health bar, but does save Evi in topside. Gives the time for Udapon and Harp on this bot side to end up getting the play as well on the turret. So overall, DFM putting themselves in a great position. 2k gold lead, and they're the ones that have scaling in hands as well.
Yeah, they did a great job managing plates. They've done a good job managing the assignments, soaking the aggro where they needed to without giving up anything of real consequence. They've got a solid gold lead. 2 minutes until the next Drake spawns. Yes, EG got first Drake. Trading away 1 Drake for a near 2k gold lead early on doesn't feel too bad at all.
Yeah, and the big thing as well for EG is that they really need to find flanking opportunities for fights, right? Jojo Pyun wants to try and play off of lack of vision for DFM. Honestly, same when you look at Impact, right? Like, think about that first Rift Herald. It was the fact that Impact had gotten access to the backline that made that big difference. If you're not able to use that opportunity to get vision on objectives, and you're missing out on turrets, which means you're being pushed back towards your base, it becomes very difficult for you to actually play around vision, find these flank opportunities, and DFM can play the front to back that they want to.
So what do we want to see DFM continue to do to accelerate this gold lead even further? They're in a nice spot going into the mid game now that plates are gone and everything, but the game's definitely not over yet. Jojo jumps over the wall to find Steel here, locks him down with a Q2. Inspired wants to go in. They're looking to find this kill, and they're looking to find it fast, but Yaharong's already arrived. Steel gets away. He's not dead yet. Evil geniuses find a Sejuani ulti, and Inspired comes through with the damage.
Huge amount invested from EG though to find that pick. You can see the wave still pushing in bot side. Evi gets free time with that top side turret. Does mean DFM won't be able to put the pressure they wanted to get the mid lane turret, because that's kind of what DFM were looking for here. Get vision on the bot side. Make sure that Ahri can push in on bot. Push in on mid to try and get the turret, but unfortunately not quite able to do so as they do get picked off.
Okay, Evi, let's see how much work he can get done here on the top side. Doesn't want to stick around any longer. Knows EG are resetting, so he's going to do the same. Impact farming up back down here in bottom. But yeah, the kill sort of just pumps the brakes a little bit. EG don't get to claim any major prizes off of that. The Drake wasn't ready, but they did show that they were capable of collapsing. DFM is not so far ahead that they can just invade with impunity.
And holding on towards mid turret means they actually have that base of defense. Right now they can use that to springboard themselves in towards mid lane, start to clear out the waves, keep themselves safe, and still contest this dragon. Again though, very little vision for AG, and with the later resets, no flank setup for Jojo Pyun. Impact has pushed in bot side, so maybe he can get himself into a good position, but they don't really know where DFM are, and in a front to back, I still favor DFM.
And especially in a front to back in the river, where Maokai's ultimate just takes over the whole thing. There's still some ulti timers waiting to come back online for both sides. The Soraka ulti critically for Vulcan, just it's an entirely different champion here in a team fight. But EG, they're starting up the Drake. Evie has a Narbar right where he wants it. Impact's gonna try to keep him away. Lands the chains. Drake's still at about 5K. Impact comes over the wall. They're ready to go. Evie is already down. EG, mark him, and they take him out.
DFM were just trying to do too much on the map. Yaharong was like, right, I have TP. I could use that fact to push in on top tower and force EG to play this quickly into the dragon, but because Evie gets caught out, Yaharong doesn't get the TP in time after he takes the top lane turret, and EG will get the fight and the dragon.
Nicely done there, and this one does have a prize attached. They get to take the objective. Cowrie using the ulti to clear out the mid lane wave so they hold on to that forward operating base like you were talking about. Now, DFM, they gotta try to get their momentum back a little bit.
I will say though, with top and bot now gone, this little bastion of defense has seen a few cracks in it, although Rift Herald
is low. Secured by DFM, but here's the problem. They don't have anybody nearby to take the eye. Inspired's here in the front. The damage pours through. Steel is already down. And EG want to take more. Yaharong's not here. His summoner spellbook is exhaust. There's no way to join immediately. JoJo's clone will hang around a little bit longer, but EG, they don't stop the take of the objective. They'll get the gold for it on DFM, but the eyeball expires in the water.
And that's actually a big win for EG. Again, Yaharong and TP bot lane, and EG go, oh cool, well we'll just take the fight then at the Rift Herald because we know we've got the numbers advantage. We'll end up losing that mid lane turret for EG, but as I was about to say, that was very short-lived for the world, and you can push in both side lanes and you've got an Ahri, very easy to skedaddle over towards this mid lane, so DFM would have gotten that. It's a good trade for EG, good forward thinking from the NA representatives.
I mean, if you don't take that trade, if you don't stop them from picking up the eye, they can just drop the eye mid and kill the turret anyway, right? So that thing is dead no matter what timeline you're walking down. Evil Geniuses still down 1,500 gold, but up 2 Drakes. The stats from that is going to make this game feel just neck and neck with DFM. We're getting the game I wanted us to get out of this one.
And this is where we got to see what timeline we have for EG. Is it the 4-1 tiebreaker against Fnatic, or is it the 3-2 where they have to reface teams like DFM? And EG wasn't the best start for them in this game, but the way they're playing this mid game, the way they're finding the picks is exactly how they want to try and continue this one forward. And as long as they can kind of keep Evie and Yaharong in check in side lanes with the wave states that they have at the moment, they can actually look for picks, look for play, get vision, and try and play around that successfully.
Anathema's Chains, first item completed for Inspired. I'm expecting that to be stuck on the Sivir for the entirety of the game.
Well, it's just such a smart pickup from Inspired, right? Because as we said, a huge amount of what they want to do is Inspired, JoJo, pick. Anathema's Change builds up that CC chain, and he's going to try and use it now.
Okay, Yaharong though, it's Ahri. So as long as you just dash away from the Arctic Assault, he can't chain it together with his ulti, the Ahri's gone.
But see the way the Anathema's Change is on cooldown. This is what Inspired is trying to do. He's trying to move it around. Every time he's looking for the pick, attach the chain to that person and extend the CC so you can actually look for the damage, look for the picks, and Evie might have found one.
Evie is looking for Impact, but Impact is fast enough. World Ender's so good at being able to run away from these situations, giving him that movement speed bonus to retreat back to the tier 2. So we're seeing solo laners be pressured on opposite sides of the map, on opposite teams, having to use their ultis to escape.
Inspired still sitting up here though. They really want to try and get this top lane turret for JoJo Pyun, see if they can catch Yaharong overextended. No ultimate for Yaharong means he'd have to invest the flash if he's caught here.
Okay, let's see how long they're willing to wait for this. Yaharong says, nope, I'm not going to risk anything. Minions, you can go. I don't want nothing to do with this. They're still just chilling.
Oh, he's getting baited.
Oh,
he's getting baited.
He's ready to go. He does not get caught. The flash is there. It actually looked like that ulti would have gone a little bit wide anyway, but he flashed for safety. He didn't want to risk it.
No, he flashed it. Inspired never missed that. No. He was definitely the flash, all right? We give him those.
We take those. You got the flash. That's what you came for anyway, right?
Exactly. And especially when you got a mid at 20 until Ocean Dragon. Right now, no flash for Yaharong. Kind of limits the playmaking that we've seen him attempt to go for in some of these early skirmishes. It also again means that EG now get to reset. They're pushing it mid. You can already see they're starting to try and creep that vision line forward, get it out of their own jungle, and see if they can get Impact pushing on side, get him into a flank position, get JoJo into a position where he can also look to deal damage to Udapon on this backline.
This dragon fight is going to be insane because we're still at just a dead even game state. 2,000 gold lead for DFM, but 2 Drakes and the stats that those give is going to make up for that on the side of EG. So that means I'm looking for positioning. I'm looking for flanks and marking when it comes to this next fight because it's just going to come down to who's got the better hands.
I'm also curious to see if EG do go for this fight. Because, I mean, an Ocean Dragon isn't going to do much against the composition for EG, and they honestly might just go, hey, look, we're just going to all in on this top side, look for the tower, look for pick onto Yahurong, because at the moment, again, they just don't have the vision control set up properly. Udapon has so much push in mid, Kerry just can't match it, so actually getting into River is tough, but we're seeing the TPs, we're seeing Jojo Pyun and Impact trying to get into position to get in behind DFM like we talked about.
Jojo saw Evie walking towards that brush with a sweeper. He knew he had to get back immediately. But committing the teleport of Jojo to the bottom side of the map tells me that EG wants to fight for this. Inspired took a little bit of poke there, but luckily for him, he's got a Soraka. He's also got some honey fruits there he can eat, so it won't really stick to him that well. You can see back up to full HP now. But EG are splintered. This is important. If they want to try to make a flank, you got to have the timing right. Otherwise, you just end up in 2 separate fights that you don't win either one of them. And here they go. Jojo goes over the wall. Jojo's in trouble. He's charmed. He's rooted. He's beaten down. He's beaten up, and they get the shutdown. Over onto Yarong instead. Mid laner traded away from mid laner as Cowrie tries to reposition. A flashback over the wall. A double kill for the AD carry. And the evil geniuses get the better of them.
It looks funky, but Jojo baits them. Dashes back over the wall and EG collapse. That's exactly what they needed to do when they couldn't fight the front to back. Now you got Yahurong and Steel gone. Evie's still lucky.
Evie has Mega Gnar. They're seeing if maybe they can make some kind of a miracle happen. There it is. He alley-oops 2 of them back into the wall. They've got Vulcan, but Udapon is down. Evil geniuses trying to fight back. Inspired's locking him up, and Impact's the one who's going to deal the damage. Evie wants to stand and fight with his pocket Yumi, but Harp jumps out, only to find himself CC'd. A teleport's going to come in as Harp takes the damage, but he gets back onto the top laner. Yahurong is back, and Impact has to run away. DFM, come back with a vengeance, come back from the grave, and come back to smack EG.
Yahurong and Cole will find the dragon, they find the fight, it was close. EG started off so well, but the Gnar and the Yumi combo bring it all roaring back down to earth for EG.
Huge, huge, huge from Evie and Harp there.
It was such an incredible performance. I love the start of this fight from Jojo, right? Like, Impact is hiding there. Jojo shows himself and goes, oh yeah, you found us, you know, we made the mistake. Then comes back again and just baits Steel over the wall, baits out everything from DFM. Evie can't get into position. Udapon is useless in this scrap. And again, look at Kerry's ultimate. Perfect positioning here to separate DFM, which gives him the opportunity to take this fight. But as you called it, Evie, once he gets into the Narbar position, he's also got Cowrie's flash down from that last little skirmish, so he immediately jumps onto Vulcan and onto Cowrie, gets rid of the 2 big sources of damage here, especially alongside LeBlanc already gone, and then it all tries to fall to Impact to carry, but he just doesn't quite have enough to take down Evie and Harp before the cavalry arrives.
And this would have looked fine if not for the TP. Jojo, he had the TP down here being on the opposite side of the map before the objective spawned. It meant an advantage for DFM. They were tracking it, they were ready for it, and then Impact ends up in a 1v3. There's no way out of that one for him. It takes him a couple of seconds to beat him down, but they are going to get there. It's Harp who ends up taking the kill, and that's DFM also critically stopping the Drake stack for EG. They are not threatened by a soul point game state now.
Yeah, and EG now, still going to be under the back foot. Udapon has a ton of push in mid. Evie now having that force of nature is going to be a medicine team fight. Will also be struggling against Impact if Impact can close the distance, but it's so difficult for Aatrox to actually get on top of this Gnar. And then even in the side lanes, right, Yahurong, he is so good at just playing sides because you've got the safety of that ultimate. So EG again need to find some way to deal with just DFM corralling them back into their own side of the base.
DFM once again looking to play spoiler to North America's hopes here in the play-ins. They're doing a good job so far. 3 items on the Sivir. This is scary. Yutapon must be answered if EG want to have any sort of a hope in the fight. It's very tough. They're playing well around him. EG's going to have to find some sort of a way to get through that. But Steel on this Maokai, just again, sort of showcasing how much disruption and how much space this champion can create.
And we saw the poll results. Europe is cheering for DFM, knowing that Fnatic will take that top spot. Yes, DFM can beat them. EG looking to try and match that and force that tiebreaker, but DFM last year was the first time they made it to Worlds groups, and beating EG would definitely give them a very good shot trying to make it once more here. Evie pushing in the bot side, Steel getting aggressive in towards the top end, but again, you can't really do much here as EG when you've got so much control for Yutapon in mid, and now he's grouping with Steel in the jungle.
Also, if DFM wins this one, remember that these are two of the teams that'll be in that 3-2 tiebreaker spot, so they'll have to probably play again. As we do see DFM in the enemy jungle, but Steel just throwing a couple of little tree babies out there. He's gonna find Inspire. Yaharong's coming up from the side. Jojo's found Yaharong, nearly kills him from the get-go here. Yaharong's gotta be very careful. A TP's coming in. Evil Geniuses looking to see if they can get anything off of the mid lane advantage they found. Jojo misses chains, so he's gotta reset his position now. EG, 5 men top. DFM, 5 men in the EG jungle. Inspire tanks the Maokai ulti. Vulcan's gonna die here with the front if he ain't careful. He flashes away to survive. DFM go for it. They're going to get both summoner spells out of the EG support.
I mean, they can fall back to Baron. You've got Sivir here. She does so much damage, even Evie as well, but looks like they're not confident to just fall back towards that objective. TP coming through from Jojo Pion in the mid lane as well. DFM not feeling confident to just go immediately towards the purple worm.
But they have no ultis other than the Gnar. I think that's the thing that's really making them afraid of that. They used Maokai, they used Yuumi, they used Ahri. They put everything towards making that happen. They got summoner spells, but no kills would make it very risky. 45 seconds to the next Drake as well.
I think it's just about how low EG were. It was going to be so difficult for them to test, especially if Evie did end up popping the Mega Gnar. But either way, as you say, Dragon up now. This is going to be the focus for DFM. They get the recess. They should be able to get control over these lanes once more. Even again, Yutapon, it's just disgusting. 290 CS. It's Harry not far off him as well as they've been ping-ponging the wave, but it gives them the opportunity to just sneak into River and get that vision control they need.
If this was last game, if this was loud, they would have gone Baron. But here in this one with DFM and EG,
there's a lot on the line.
The decisions appear to be a little bit more towards the safety end of the slider, as we'll see if Evie wants to walk forward here. Impact and Inspired. If they catch Evie, oh, that was a very clutch hop from the Gnar to get away.
Again, though, Evie every single time has been popped early on this Gnar. So again, EG back it up, but DFM are immediately turning over towards the Dragon. DFM know that they have to use this moment when Evie still has Mega Gnar, and it looks like EG instead will just back away. Unfortunately, though, not really in a position to actually do much as they move out, because Wave in top was already pushed in, Wave in mid was already pushed in. DFM doing good on their due diligence before they went towards the Dragon.
2-2 in Drake count now, so it's going to be, even at earliest possibility, a 40-minute Dragon Soul. It's not really going to be that huge of a win condition anymore, I don't think. It's more down to who's got the positioning, who's got the fights. If you're EG, can you pop Yutapon before anything really starts? Can you pop Evie when he's in mini form? If you're DFM, can you set up for these big fights with Steel leading the way and the DPS just falling in line behind? Who can force the other side to play their game?
But here's the thing, right? As you say, 2 for 2 in Dragons, but even look at the amount of towers that are on the map. You have to not win one fight, you have to win several fights before you can actually get into the base. This is going to be a slow burn and a long one. This is not going to just end in the next fight. There's still going to be a lot to play for here, and it feels like either side could break this game in their favor.
But it is really problematic. I'm glad you mentioned the towers. DFM, you've at least got all the tier 1s down, right? But EG have not taken a single turret in 31 minutes of gameplay, which really just showcases they haven't had a strong footing on the map. They haven't had the positioning that they want. They have fallen behind and lost control way too often in this game.
Yeah, and it's been really tough for DFM, though, because they haven't really been finding those opportunities to use the fact, like, Yutapon has pushed mid. Okay, can we then overload one side of the map and find picks for EG? Like, EG have actually been able to get some vision control in their jungle, deny DFM the opportunity to try and play through side lanes like they want to, and that's what's giving EG the opportunity to hold on. Baron started, though, and because Steel showed, they don't know.
I love the fact that they're going for it. Impact doesn't have teleport for a little bit longer. They know that both top laners teleported around the same time. They know that Impact doesn't have it because Evie doesn't have it. Evil Geniuses thinking about it. Now they got to try to get away. Vulcan's already down. Bullet time over the wall won't do anything. Goodbye. Good night. See you later. DFM gets 2.
DFM are going to be able to turn back over towards the Baron. EG, they tried to move in, they face check it, and Steel says, peekaboo, I'm going to take this one for DFM.
Nicely done from DFM. The call there to go for this. The call to move into the Baron. Impact's ready to try to disrupt them. Could this be the hero moment? Over the wall they go. It's secured by Steel. Inspired tries to get away. JoJo's in the run from Evie. Impact trying to stand a fight and get one back if he can, but he's 1v2. Evie's gonna find JoJo. You have to think. JoJo with a dash over the wall, but he can't be run down. Impact kills Steel. Yahurong might just die now as well. Evil Geniuses clear off 3 of the Barons.
Harp and Evie, the only ones left standing. We've seen them do it once. Can they do it again, Flowers?
All right, it's 2v2. No teleport coming in to save them this time as Impact and Inspired keep the chase alive. Sejuani providing the CC, Impact providing the damage. Vulcan shows up, a nice silence. They got him rooted up, but they need a little bit more damage. There's your stasis. The Yumi tries to get away. Evie's gonna die. Harp's still alive. They're not wearing purple no more. Evil Geniuses back to life.
And finally, some of these buildings can crumble for EG as well. The Baron was going to cause them issues. They said no. These towers were causing them issues. They'll say no. EG find the fight they needed to bring this game in their favor.
Absolutely huge. I talked about Impact being a clutch player. I talked about him showing up in playoffs, showing up at Worlds, and he shows up here at the end of a Baron fight that started with tragedy for NA.
And Kerry here, unfortunately, gets caught out just in the edge. Good idea to try and post up with that ultimate, see if he can deal the damage, but DFM are too strong. And then, as you say, Impact, the hero in this play. We said, look, laning phase be damned, it's team fights where Impact steps up. And not only did he step up, he stepped on DFM in this fight. Gets Yahurong out of the pick. Immediately onto Udapon. He is running amok in the backline of DFM, and when there is no front to back, DFM cannot fight him. He's so much healing, and look, Evie is running amok on towards JoJo Pyun, but it is just buying the time and space. Impact needed. Here we go again.
Right back into the fight. Right back into the action. The game is the closest it's been, and it's been tied the whole time, Dagda. Now we've got our 5th drink of the game about to spawn as the teams jockey for position here in the river. DFM gonna step up. Impact! 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 What the hell are you doing? Impact!
He is out of there! DFM will find Impact and EG. They're running for the hills.
Vulcan and Inspired try to get away, but Cowrie is locked down. Evil Geniuses collapse before DFM.
Live evil, are they gonna be worried about living? DFM are on the hunt. Inspired will at least buy some time, but he's gone as well.
He jumps back over the wall. Vulcan doesn't complete his back. JoJo's in mid trying to get anything that he might be able to get. Vulcan's just saying, all right, I'll try to leave. That fight sucked for Evil Geniuses. Impact getting caught on the flank. JoJo unable to get anything back on the tier 2 in mid. Inspired just... He's going on the Tour de France. All right, he's gone. He's gone. Shut down over to Hart.
But once more, when it's against North America, the LJL shows up. DFM beat Cloud9 last year to get to groups, and they want to beat EG to try and put themselves one step closer once more. 3 dragons to their name, control of this game, and across the board, we're seeing them find the picks and find the kills that matter.
Beautifully done. Beautifully found by DFM there, getting the pick, finding Impact on the flank to set themselves up for success. Now Evil Geniuses on the back foot. They've got to find an answer here yet again. What's it going to be? Evie, hit by chains, doesn't matter. Jump right on out.
Should be all right now. DFM again trying to set up with this 1-3-1 that we were talking about. But Yahurong not in a position on top side means that EG can overload to the bottom side, keeping everything in check. Again, DFM struggling to kind of play out the map in the manner that they'd want to is giving EG a bit of a breath of fresh air. But Dragon not for 4 minutes. Baron in just over a minute and a half's time. EG need to find the victory once more at the Purple Worm, or this could be all said and done in favor of the LJL. We're gonna see here in the fight, right? Impact trying to get control over mid lane. The wave wasn't there, and immediately DFM pounds. They know there is no way EG can get in a position to try and help them. But by the time EG get there, they've overextended as well. They just need to ditch that little bit faster. And with the speed up from the Yuumi, the last chapter as well, able to just pick off everyone on EG.
Evil geniuses, that was one they're going to want back. But the Baron is the name of the story. Look at the items available here on both sides. We have to take note of the playmaking tools. The Everfrost on the Ahri has been critical for DFM setting up these plays. You've got the Kimtech Putrefier for Heart, negating some of the healing that's been so clutch for Vulcan and for Impact. Impact completed Guardian Angel after the last fight, so he's got that to bring him back to life. A stopwatch on Cowrie will also be a big difference maker, as will the McHales for Vulcan to be able to save someone from CC. This next fight, this should be an absolute bloodbath. I am just expecting 9 or 10 bodies hitting the floor.
The LJL once more trying to see if they can push in towards groups. This has been incredible. DFM, I mean, they have been the best team in the LJL for so long. Evie and Udapon able to just attract so many great players from the LJL because they have been at the top of the game for so damn long. Udapon, 2013, he joins with DFM, and he's been there ever since, looking so good. And now again, looking great against Evil Geniuses. Can they once more push back North America, or can EG do what feels impossible right now and find that big team fight when they need against the LJL representative?
Well, the DFM Death Ball has showed its face in the top lane. They will take out the tier 2 there. That one will drop no contest as they go for some recalls. A lot of spam pings around the Baron pit as Evil Geniuses just started up. There were recalls coming out from DFM. EG, they call their bluff. They're saying, we're gonna go for it. Baron's at half. Steel is nearby. If Steel lives up to his name here, the entire game, I would have to assume, is going to go with it. The Baron secured by EG and JoJo, but what about the rest? Can they get everybody away over the wall? Impact tries to dash it out. Vulcan's stuck in the pit. He's probably going to die. Yahurung trying to chase after EG. A TP's coming in. Bullet time over the wall. Evie gets shredded by it as he arrives, and now he could be in some trouble, but he slams 2 into the wall with the ulti. Evie gets away. JoJo dies. EG is crumbling. Impact tries to fight. Evie stays alive. EG is aced for nothing.
The resurrection will come through, but it will be short-lived for Impact. DFM have done it. They will move towards the top side. They will beat back EG, and they will once more show NA that the LGL is here to play.
Japan gets it done again. EG make a smart call for the Baron, but they turn around and try to fight instead of sacrificing Vulcan, and DFM outplays them. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you like tiebreakers, because we're getting tiebreakers. DFM takes out EG.
3-2 Electric Boogaloo, let's go! I am set for World Play-Ins, because these tiebreakers are going to be incredible. DFM, the thumbs up from Evie says it all, what it means for this region.
Huge for DFM to find this win. This gives them the opportunity to still play for the number 2 spot, which is so important because it helps you dodge what everyone is assuming to be a best of 5 with RNG, who most people are like, why are they even in this stage of the play-ins? They're really good. You don't want to go there. And if you're an EU fan, you're celebrating just as hard. Fnatic just made group stage.
Loud, EG, and Detonation focus me. Now all tied at 3-2, and I mean, for DFM, that's gotta feel good right now. You're now gonna go up against these guys once more, having just beaten them as well. It's gonna be an interesting Group A right now.
It's a huge confidence boost, because now we've got a very interesting rock, paper, scissors in that 3-2, right? Because you're looking at EG, they beat Loud. Loud beat DFM, DFM beat EG. It's 1-1-1. The way this goes is gonna be madness.
I love this. This is exactly what I needed to finish out this group, because I don't know what way this goes. Loud have a massive step up. DFM just played out of their minds there, and it feels like EG, they need to find that success once more to push them across the finish line.
What a game. What a banger of a game. As a lifelong North American fan, I should have expected this. I should have been ready for this. We all knew this is the way that it was going to begin with. We're going to have a lot of extra games at the end of the day. Hopefully we keep getting some bangers. It's going to be exciting one way or the other. But that one was close for so long, right? We saw like slight gold lead for DFM. We saw the Dragons in the favor of EG. But again, I love the fact that you pointed out the towers later on. It sort of painted the bigger overall picture of the map control that DFM had.
Yeah, and that was the big issue for EG. They just couldn't get themselves set up at objectives because of that control that DFM had. But look, I appreciate the call of the end by EG. Like, try and risk the Baron. You're not going to win it. Let's see if we can sneak one away. But it cost them in the end.
It cost him in the end. That the idea was great, man.
Yeah.
The idea was awesome. It was just the idea afterwards. Wait, maybe we can get something back. Maybe we can try to fight. I think they might have been encouraged by all the damage that Evie took when he went over the wall there. But Harp jumping in to save him with the heals on the Yuumi. I'm sweating like it's July in Ohio after that. So we're just going to go ahead. We're going to toss it back over to the State Farm analyst desk to break that one down.
Now I kind of want